I'm bringing it. I'm not going to hold back today. I don't care if, I'm in a boot and still recovering from a broken ankle. I can't put my foot down, but I'm going to put my foot down with words today. Is that all right? Okay, and I know that I'm not scooting off this platform with my enthusiasm. I got the brake on. I'm not going to be able to come down there with you as I would like to today, so you're just going to have to do your part as well, okay? All right, so none of us are going to hold back today. Are you in for this ride? Good. I'll let you borrow my scooter afterwards, and you too can have fun. All right, so I'm bringing two things that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that will absolutely guarantee that your life will be prosperous and abundant. It's a guarantee, I'm telling you. Now, you can believe it or not, but these two things, if you already aren't, or if you're feeling like you already do live a prosperous and abundant life, like I feel right now, it's going to up the ante even more by doing these two things as much as you can and not hold back. Okay? All right. Number one, gratitude. Number two, giving. You've heard this before, right? Gratitude and giving. I trust that we're all, including me, are more inspired to do more of this and to not hold back on our gratitude and our giving. All right? So I'm going to get right to it. And the reason why I want to hit this as best that Spirit wants to hit it as me today and not back off is because for the sake of your abundant life, I can't hold back. I realized that the last time I taught foundations, when a particular subject came up and I did not hold back, and 5 or 6 people said, I'm going to do that. I've never decided to do that before, and it changed their lives. And so it's sort of like if I have the secret sauce and I don't share it with you, shame on me, right? Emerson tells us that every single person is an inlet. And may become an outlet to all there is in God. I thought about that a lot this past week. So he says we're an inlet, and he says we may become an outlet to everything that is God, everything that is Spirit. So we must be an inlet and an outlet. Ernest Holmes, Eric Butterworth said that never allow anything, but specifically money, of any kind or any amount to pass through your hands without blessing it. So let's just move to gratitude. So anything, thank you for bringing me my tea this morning, Petra, right? Gratitude. So I didn't let that tea or that act pass through my hands without thanking it. But especially money. Don't allow any kind or any amount to pass through your hands without blessing it. Thank you. Thank you. Whether it's coming to you, thank you, or whether it's coming from you, thank you. See? Bless it. Gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ernest Holmes tells us that money is a wonderful symbol. We have all kinds of symbols in our lives, don't we? Some people take symbols and they worship them. Some people take symbols and it keeps us from being in an accident. It's called a stop sign. If we just ignore that symbol, right? There are all kinds of symbols in our life that in that moment or over time, if we use that symbol, it can assist us in our life. Well, money is a symbol, and it's a symbol of Spirit's substance. That's what it is. It's a symbol that the substance of Spirit is right here in my life. It's not somewhere else. It's right here. and to give thanks that it is continually pointing each of us toward this thing called a limitlessness of the universal supply. So as we say thank you, we actually don't see that symbol much anymore. It's become so electronic. I think that's having some impact. Who knows? I don't know. But, how many times, how many automatic bill pays do we have set up in our life, right? Like the electric bill and the cable bill or the this, right? Your auto tithe, all of that, right? It just comes and goes. Do we bless it as it comes in, paycheck or whatever, and both? We've got to bless it when it goes out. And the reason why Holmes tells us is because it keeps the awareness that this currency, the current of life itself, is moving. And it's moving. And it keeps moving at a really good pace and amount. So gratitude. When it comes to you, give thanks that it has flowed from the infinite source. That's your job. For the sake of your abundant life, give thanks. Give thanks to whether it's in a job, an investment, a company that you work for, a company that you own, clients that you have. Give thanks. In all things, give thanks. Because it's causal. It multiplies it. In all things, give thanks. It multiplies it. And so the more we give thanks, the more we multiply it and we move closer and closer to the truth of what our life is really meant to be, and that's to be in the limitlessness of the supply of the universe. And when it goes from you, give thanks so that there's no depletion. And as we give thanks, again, that increases. So we give thanks when it comes in, so the in increases. We give thanks when it goes out, that increases too. And we might as well just get used to and welcome inflow, outflow, inflow, outflow. The tide doesn't question whether it's coming back in again. It does. The tide doesn't question whether it's going to go out. It doesn't say, nope, I'm staying on high tide today. It goes out. Everything in life works this way. It just depends on if we clog it up, get in the middle of it, become Drano necessary. Are we walking around in our lives as a clogged drain? Well, one of the ways to unclog it or to increase the flow is through gratitude. Okay, good. Let's try that again. What's one of the ways that we can increase the flow? Gratitude. Oh, thank you, because I can't spend more time on this one. Not today.
So do you know you're part of our online community? Every time you watch us, you belong to CSL Dallas, and we're so happy that you're part of our community. And we love providing you this kind of spiritual message. So if you want to keep seeing this, please donate. You can donate at csldallas.org/give, or you can text 972-954-4404. Be part of our community and sit back and enjoy the message.
Here we go. Giving. It's not ever struck me before on this quote from Emerson is that we may become an outlet. We may become an outlet to all there is in spirit. Giving. Ernest Holmes tells us that we are to allow the gifts of life to flow out of everything we touch. everything we touch, everyone we meet, every situation we contact. That's a lot. That's a lot of giving. Let it flow out in everything we touch, everyone we meet, and every situation we contact. When we don't, this universal flow is clogged. Have you ever noticed when you're walking down the street and you're having a bad day and someone's passing you on the sidewalk and the one thing you'd love to have is a smile or an acknowledgement or someone to just say, "How you doing?" And that doesn't happen, and you keep moving in that direction. It doesn't feel as good. Or what if reversal? What if you're walking down the street and you see someone and you have something that you just want to say, "Good morning, how you doing, Sharon?" And you don't, you just walk down the street. Do you notice how you keep moving in your day? The instant way for us to change anything is to give. To give our attention, to give of our love, to give of our smile, to just give, right? Then, wherever we go, when we do that, as much as we can, because Lord knows I'm not perfect, everything, every situation is blessed, and every person is helped in a way that I guarantee you, will never know. We've heard stories of someone saying, because someone took 2 minutes out to say, "Are you doing all right?" or whatever, they were about to commit suicide, and no one knew that. We've just heard stories. When there's any time that we can give and not withhold, it changes everything. Any kind of, if we withhold an apology, how's that relationship going for the next hour or so? Or day or month or year? So every discord is harmonized when we give of something without our ever being conscious of it or knowing about it or someone telling us about it. We're touching lives when we give. And so Ernest Holmes also tells us that this real giving that I'm speaking of is an art of transmuting ourselves to others and to the conditions and the situations around us. We just heard how the love, the acceptance, the space, the music, the teachings, all of that has absolutely changed and transformed the situations and conditions in a family. So this kind of giving is not something for special occasions only. Let go of the china. How many of us only bring it out once a year? How many don't? Right? But this is not our fine china. We're to give it away as much as we can in every situation. He says that it is the giving of oneself to every person, every project, and every association with zest, love, and friendliness that one sees the larger possibilities of all things. Have you ever noticed that when you give, like you give yourself entirely that day, no matter what happens to your job, do you come home exhausted or do you come home like with zest? Zest? More zest in the room? Right. I mean, like when I just give and give and give here on a day, and it's like, whoo, I just come home, oh, it was such a great day. I got to tell you what happened. Da-da-da-da-da-da. If I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to, no, I ain't going to do that today. Oh, no, no, this staff wants me. Oh, no. I come home tired, cranky. How was your day? It was all right. Zest, love, friendliness. That one sees the larger possibilities of all things. So when we give like this, then we see greater possibilities. We see greater opportunities. And instead, Holmes says, instead of the ugliness, we see beauty. We see love instead of hate. Because we are that divine presence showing up and giving that in that moment. All right, so giving is on all levels, and giving is also about money. It is the currency, it's the current of life. It is something that is a symbol, it is real, just like everything else. And when we open up to that, new things can happen in our life. So financial giving is really important. I want to tell you a story. I've heard about this now for, 20 some odd years. But I researched this story so I could share a little bit of it with you. Might surprise you to know that well before Oprah went public with her celebrity philanthropy, there was another black woman from Mississippi who led the way in unlocking the generosity of others. I've heard this, but I was like, how did this come about? Let me go search it out. You know, we heard about the generosity. We've heard about the generosity of Oprah for some times. I want to introduce you to Miss Osceola McCarty. Because Miss Osceola McCarty made history in 1995. In August of 1995, she made history. It made the New York Times. It was such a big deal. She is an unlikely benefactor and inspiring figure during these early days of the internet. That's how this story got spread and then made it in the New York Times. So Miss McCarty, by donating much of her life savings and announcing the gifts shortly after, she catalyzed a community of givers to join her in the support of $150,000, this is 1995, $150,000 scholarship fund established for black students at the University of Southern Mississippi. That sum was at the time the largest gift the college had received from an African-American donor. Okay, multi-race university. She didn't give it to a black-only college. She wanted to give it to, because I've read a lot now, she wanted to give it to where she lived, locally. And that was the largest gift that had ever been given to the University of Southern Mississippi at the time. Now, it was a little more significant because it was the result of decades of literally toil and accumulation of what most of us would consider meager wages. She was a seamstress and worked with clothes and, all of that, all of her life. I really invite you to go check out the stories of her. It was in the New York Times. So this extraordinary thing has become a guiding light. This philanthropist from Mississippi has been a guiding light for all donors. Not just additional black women donors, but all donors. And so we can be motivated to give no matter the size of our own assets. She liked to say that she dispelled the adage that anonymous was a woman. So she wanted to share the news. And I think we should share more good news. I keep working on that. I'm doing my best. I'm going to keep working on only sharing good news. Share the news. Now, here's what I want you to know. She also became an ambassador, not just a philanthropist, because she realized the power in telling one's story. And that's why she told her story. And that's why I want us to tell our stories. And because of that, she gave from the substance, all the substance she had. She gave of her story, of herself, not just her money. And this gift to the university seeded a lot more money for scholarships that continue to pay dividends across southern Mississippi and beyond. The university continues to acknowledge her role as an institutional benefactor so that students understand how her generosity has helped to make their educational goals a reality. But her giving didn't stop there. And this is the story that I've heard for so long. Someone from Atlanta, Georgia, saw that. And he read the story about this woman in Mississippi who earned what we would consider very, very, very little throughout her lifetime. And she made a $150,000 contribution she gave for something greater than herself. Someone in Atlanta, Georgia read that story and it changed his life. So in 1996, Ted Turner gave away $28 million because of Miss McCarty. Yeah, you can clap for that. He gave away $28 million, and it went to World Watch, the Bat Conservation Society, Friends of the Wild Swan, and hundreds of other environmental causes. He was on an interview with Larry King on Larry King Live, and he said this. He said that he had discovered that the more good I do, the more money has come in. He said, you have to learn to give. We're not born to give. We tend to born to be selfish. I think he's speaking of Emerson right there, right? And he said that, the world is awash with money. There's so many rich guys in a world of billionaires. The world is awash with money and nobody knows what to do with it. We don't want the money. We don't want the money that we know what to do with it, just the money they don't know what to do with it. I don't know, but that's what he quoted. Whatever. So, in that moment, he started calling some folks out because he read that article in the New York Times. And he said, Warren Buffett, come on. Bill Gates, come on. He did. Ted Turner called him and said, come on. Let's start giving this stuff away. Let's choose who we give it to. And he wasn't done then. In September of 1997, the next year, because of this woman in Mississippi, he stood up when he was being honored, as the founder of Time Warner and CNN and all that. He was being honored that he was going to give $1 billion with a B, $1 billion to the United Nations. And he said, if that little woman can give away everything she has, then I can give $1 billion. That giving inspired others to give. And that is the divine process in action. So there's another kind of giving that's in the mix of this, and it's called discipline giving. And it's like anything in life. It takes a little discipline to do something over a long period of time. If I'm not disciplined to go work out consistently over a long period of time, then I don't have the health in my body that I want. If I'm not disciplined, actually in a way, to pay attention to my relationship and to give that relationship, TLC and attention and conversations and till the soil and how you doing and all of that, oh boy, does that start to, not grow. It starts to wither, right? In every area of our life, and this is the same with money. To establish the practice of disciplined giving. And it is a very, very good spiritual practice. Okay, I have, this is where you come in. I have some questions. What I know to be true is that I absolutely believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's nothing within me anymore that questions whether or not spiritual mind treatment works. Every single time. I believe that spiritual mind treatment works, affirmative prayer, every single time. And the way that I believe that is when I heard about it, I was curious, what is this kind of prayer or whatever? I started to learn about it, find out about it, ask other people about it, asked people to do it for me. I started to put it into practice in my life. That's the only way I knew that it would work, is if I put it into practice. And as I started to put it into practice, I started to notice that a lot more good everything was happening differently than it ever had before I found out about spiritual mind treatment, the kind of prayer that we teach here. And because I do it all the time for my own life, and now I do it for other people, I know the benefit of it. And because I learned how, because someone taught me, or several people did actually, over a course of time, lots of other people benefit from that. So who else, I'm curious, who else in here, beyond a shadow of a doubt, or at least as close to it as you can get in something, believes that spiritual mind treatment works? If you believe, stand up, please. All right. I need you to be willing to run a mic to someone, Oscar, please. All right. Look, I want you to look around, and I bet they've done some shape, form, or fashion like I did. They found out about it. They started practicing it, They just, right? So I want one person, this is the thing, in 30 seconds, so you won't take more than a minute, to tell me why or how you know that spiritual mind treatment works. Raise your hand high and okay. Pick one, Oscar. I don't even have to.
Come on, Gert.
Hi, my name's Elaine Dunn, and just in the last 2 weeks, I've been practicing this for a while, been here for 2 years, but have a daily SMT partner, spiritual mind treatment, and because I have something big that I needed in my life, and in less than 3 weeks, I have gotten $34,000 when I was making like $5,000 a month. And this is a regular practice of just spiritual mind treatment, not necessarily about money, but just about life and circulation.
Great, thank you. That was perfect. I'm going to give one more. Hit Septima up real quick. Be quick. And then when Septima's done, I want you to look around at everybody again before I invite you to sit down. All right.
I had an appointment with Reverend Petra, and I had a lunch date with my wife and another friend, and she dropped me off, and I went and met with Petra, and Petra did a mind treatment for me, and when I got to lunch with Lydia, she said, well, what did you meet with Petra about? I'd like a job. And that next hour, I got a job.
All right. Good. Thank you. Y'all can sit down. All right. So that is spiritual mind treatment, spiritual practice. It's one of our main spiritual practices. We talk about it all the time. The one that we don't talk about nearly as much as that one, but works just as much as this thing called sacred giving, discipline giving. Some people might say tithing. You know what? I don't care. Don't say that. But I just mean discipline, like consistent. Stretch it out. Ooh, I'm afraid to even give this much in advance. Not to wait until I get to some point in how much money I make and then I'll start. Oh, well, why don't I wait until the $34,000 to come in and then I'll ask for prayer every day from my prayer partners? Why don't I wait for the job to come in and then I'll ask for prayer for the job? You see, it don't work that way. You start. So, I know for the same reason, longer than I've known about spiritual mind treatment, that discipline giving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, it works. My life is so prosperous. Just like some people, depending on how much they earn, would go, how is she going on trips and doing all this? Because all of our books are public. You can find out how much I make. It's what I made in 1998. But hey, hallelujah, I have the most prosperous life I could imagine right now. And I am a disciplined giver. I know it works. I practice it. I don't back off of it. I actually keep increasing it. So if you, in this thing called discipline giving, consistent giving, tithing, sacred giving, whatever, if you believe, like me, that this stuff really works in that, I would like for you to stand up. Wow. I want you to look around. This is pretty much almost the same amount of people that just stood up. Okay, I want 2 people really quickly to say 30 seconds. The other 2 were great. Why? Hold up your hand. Oscar's going to come to you. There's one in the back, if you can't see. And then we need one more. Run, Oscar.
Okay, real quick. Quite a few years ago, I was headed off to Howard University, or I received that that's what I needed to do. I had no money to do it. I needed $8,000 to step foot on campus. I'd been given to my church at the time, Fresh West, and I just kept giving. I kept saying I was going to go ahead and go. Nothing could hold me back. I had mentors tell me I was stupid, pray for my stupidity, literally. I had to dump those mentors. I started a college fund campaign, ran that out, did my best with that, got a job. All of a sudden, $10,000 in my Howard University account, and then $1,500 scholarship, and then more scholarships, and then $4,000 scholarship. My mom didn't pay a penny for me to go. I worked hard. I met some of the most beautiful people in the world that also opened up the experience for me. And this is the story I've been wanting to tell you, Karen. That's all.
Wow. That is brilliant and beautiful. One more, real quick. You believe it works, and why? Okay?
I believe it works because how can you expect to receive if you do not give? By giving, you make room to receive whatever God wants to give you. But if you're so blocked up, man, you ain't going to receive it from nothing.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you all for standing and participating. It's, you know what? It's significant. You know, we don't just start something brand new, especially if it's scary or things we're not even sure it's going to work or whatever, unless somebody's paved the way for us. You know, a woman in the Wednesday night, by the way, some of you know we do a reverse tithe during this time of the year because we tithe where we're spiritually fed. This community practices everything that we teach. And for the first time in the history of this community, the reverse tithe took place at the Wednesday night. We're becoming way beyond a Sunday-only organization because we want this community to be here another 55 years for everybody that's not here now. And some of you are still going to be here. I may not. Maybe. I don't know. But this woman said she comes from Christian roots, and some of those roots, if we carry it with us that we don't feel good about, and it keeps us clogged in the things that actually work, like prayer, like giving, whatever. She said, you know, she just gave because finally she was tired of those pastors having the jets and this and that and the other, but finally one day somebody told her, you just give it. That's all you got to do. What they do with the money doesn't matter, but you don't want to stop your good, so give. Give where you're spiritually fed. Give where you're spiritually fed. And she said, I lived the most prosperous, same thing. She had going to University of Dallas here. It's just the stories are so amazing. So here's what I'm going to ask everyone. If you stood up, I'm going to invite you to stretch that giving, that disciplined giving, because I want more good to come into your life. Anyone that didn't stand up, it's just like learning spiritual mind treatment. I just started where I was. I started practicing. And it wasn't what I am 12 years later, but I started. If one doesn't start disciplined giving in the financial realm, then that currency of life is not opened up as much. Now, I want you to know that both of your co-spiritual leaders are tithers. That means that we give at least 10% when we're spiritually fed. I just want you to know that because just like Miss McCarty said, you got to know that think of it. Y'all come here, just think of the reciprocity of life. You come here and you generously give. And that part of that, a small portion of a budget is Peter's and I's salary. And we ask that we have a really, what's the term you like to use? A good, you want something living. It's a nice term. Living wage. Thank you, Sherry. That we want a living wage, a nice living wage. But you think you give the money to all of us in this community, and then we give back At least 10% of what you give us right back here. We give more outside of that, but we're doing that. Look at this reciprocity. Isn't it beautiful? And I want us to celebrate it. I want us to share it because, like Michael Brundy said last week, this is a very significantly important community. Look around. No two people look alike in here. We're not. We are radically inclusive. We're spiritually progressive, and we transform lives. And this community has saved so many lives, homes, marriages, just beyond measure. And so we ask for you to give it here, but regardless, give. I'm so grateful that we have people to shine the light and show us the way, and everyone that stood up, so we're not afraid to start. Gratitude, sacred giving. I guarantee you, you shall live an abundant life that has always been promised to you. And so it is.